Generational talent. Franchise guy. Can't miss. We hear those words every spring, right before the league does what it does best. Test every weakness a prospect didn't know he had. In college, everything feels controlled. Perfect systems, clean pockets, a fan base that thinks you walk on water. In the NFL, the game gets faster, meaner, louder. If you're not ready, it eats you alive. Today we're walking through 10 of the biggest draft busts of the 2000s, not to dunk on anyone, but to show why it keeps happening, and why each story fails for a different reason. Because the truth is simple. Talent opens the door. Everything else decides whether you stay. Joey Harrington looked like the future at Oregon. Captain comeback. Clutch fourth quarters. The kind of billboard big charisma that had his face in Times Square. Detroit wanted hope, so they handed him the keys and said, "Drive." 2 weeks in, he's starting. He looks around and sees an offensive line that might as well be made of smoke. 36 sacks as a rookie. More than 100 in his first 3 years. No time to breathe, no time to read, and no stability anywhere. The head coach was drowning, the GM was guessing, and the receivers they drafted to help him were their own questions waiting to happen. Special quarterbacks sometimes flash through the chaos. Harrington never really did. Touchdowns and picks traded places, completion rate stuck in the low 50s, ratings that made you wince. The only time the stats jumped was when the game was already gone, which is why Joey Blue Skies stuck to him like gum. Detroit tried to fix it with more receivers, more promises, more "just give it another year." Nothing changed. By 30, he was out, and the lesson was clear. If a franchise hands a kid a tornado and calls it a football team, don't act surprised when the twister wins. But that wasn't the whole story. Some players look inevitable. Charles Rogers felt like that. A Michigan State legend with Randy Moss-type streaks, he walked into Detroit as the hometown savior. First game, 2 touchdowns. The city exhaled. Then a routine drill turned wrong and his collarbone snapped. Comeback year, 3rd snap, same bone. The pain follows you home and the pills follow the pain. He fought to stay on the field, stumbled through suspensions, and the team finally cut him loose. The spotlight that crowned him was the same light that burned him, and the rest of his life carried those scars. This one isn't about effort or character assassination. It's about how fragile the whole dream is. One mistimed fall, one repeat injury, and the arc bends into something no one recognizes. Pressure builds, decisions get muddy, and the spiral starts. Rogers' story is heavy, and it reminds you that bust can hide a lot of human cost behind a 4-letter word. And when expansion dreams meet reality, David Carr was the first face of the Houston Texans. Strong arm, leader's vibe, a college resume stacked with fireworks. The plan was patience. The reality was 76 sacks in a single season, an NFL record nobody wants. Every snap felt like a late notice. It changes your feet, your timing, your instincts. You start to drift before the rush arrives. You hold the ball when you shouldn't and speed up when you should slow down. Over 5 years, he took 249 sacks, and with them went a big chunk of his confidence. Here's the truth people don't like to admit. Quarterback development is fragile. You can coach courage and footwork, but you can't coach away survival mode. Carr wasn't some fraud. He was a talented player dropped into a blender. He hung around long enough to earn a ring as a backup, but his starting career never had a fair runway. Protection isn't a luxury. It's the foundation. Then there are the prospects built in a lab. Vernon Gholston looked like he was carved out of a weight room. Ohio State record book in one hand, a combine reel in the other. Speed. Power. Numbers that made scouts sit up straight. The Jets imagined a game wrecker. What they got was a riddle. Snap after snap, the explosion didn't connect to production. Hand usage late. Plan off the snap unclear. When the first move stalled, there wasn't a second one waiting. Coaches moved him around, simplified assignments, tried to make it easy. Just go hunt. The stat sheet didn't blink. This is the cruel part of scouting. Traits are the loudest thing on draft night. Translation is the only thing that matters on Sundays. If you don't marry the get-off to leverage, timing, angles, and a counter, NFL tackles will escort you past the play like a gentleman at a doorway. Gholston's career is the caution sign you put beside every highlight video of a weight room superhero. And sometimes, the league shakes your confidence before you even take a snap. Brady Quinn was Notre Dame royalty with 36 school records. The cameras lived on him during the draft as the board kept skipping his name. When Cleveland finally traded up, the town wanted a savior. Instead, the plan whiplashed. Bench, start, bench again. A quarterback's rhythm is delicate. Mechanics that hummed in college frayed under NFL speed. The feet jittered, the motion rushed, and the processing lagged. Yo-yo development is how you turn talent into doubt. You can't polish anything when the floor is moving. Teams love to say competition makes you better. Sometimes what a young quarterback needs is the opposite. One voice, one plan, one standard, and the time to grow into it. Quinn never got that runway, and by the time he bounced to his next stop, the league had put him in the maybe backup bucket. Of course, not every story is about environment. Some are about choices. Jamarcus Russell's arm broke physics. 70 yards from a knee. First overall. Contract the size of a small island. Then the reports trickled in. Conditioning slipping, playbook lagging, whispers about habits. When a team suspects you of fast-forwarding film, something's broken that isn't fixed by more curls in the weight room. On the field, the reads froze. First option locked. Blitz look. Deer in headlights. The raw gifts never married the craft. You can't throw your way out of the part of quarterbacking that lives Monday through Saturday. The league will forgive a lot if the work is relentless. It won't forgive missing steps while cashing the biggest checks. Russell's story sits at the center of the BUSTS universe because it's the sharpest proof that power isn't the same thing as precision, and talent isn't the same thing as devotion. But sometimes, even devotion loses to biology. Courtney Brown was supposed to be the sure thing. Prototype length, production, motor. Early returns looked solid. Then the injuries lined up like dominoes. Knee, neck, ankle, bicep, another knee. There's no swagger cure for cartilage. No bravado that patches a microfracture. Availability is the NFL's cruelest skill, and it's the one nobody can scout with certainty. Brown's arc is the reminder that safe is just a word we say to feel better about risk. The league doesn't care about our comfort. And even when you're healthy, translation can break you. Jason Smith's Baylor film popped. Athletic tackle pulling in space, second-level blocks, quick sets in a spread world. The Rams wanted an anchor, another Orlando pace. The NFL asked him to set deeper, punch inside leverage, mirror speed to power, win with independent hands. The technique gap showed up fast. Then came the concussions, and once that cloud arrives, it follows everything you do. He lost the left tackle job, flipped sides, and the spiral continued. Nothing torpedoes an O-lineman's development like changing the music in his head while his brain is healing. This is where draft rooms earn their paychecks. It isn't, can he play? It's, what do we actually ask him to do on day one, and how close is that to his muscle memory? If the answer is far, you'd better have a plan with patience baked in. But sometimes the body's fine and the eyes are the issue. Troy Williamson could fly. One of the fastest players in any stadium from the second he laced up. Minnesota wanted a Randy Moss sequel and gambled on pure speed. He separated. That part worked. Then the ball arrived and didn't stick. Drops stacked. Short routes, deep shots, third downs, wide open layups. Gone. The team eventually learned he had depth perception issues. That's not a lack of effort. It's a sensory challenge that ruins timing by inches, and inches are everything. They tried to tweak the route tree, screens, slants, quick hitters. The league adjusts too. Frustration boiled over, and the story ended before it ever felt like it started. It's easy to make jokes about drops. It's harder to admit some challenges are invisible until the stadium lights come on. Not every bust is a character flaw. Sometimes it's neurology. And then there's the golden boy whose window closed while he healed. Matt Leinart was the king of college football. Heisman, titles. Roster so loaded it felt unfair. The NFL asked different questions. How tight is the window? How fast can you get it out? How much juice do you have when the pocket closes? Early on, he flashed. Then the collarbone went, and while he rehabbed, Kurt Warner detonated defenses. By the time Leinart returned, his shot was gone. He never re-established rhythm or confidence, never unlocked that extra gear you need for tiny NFL windows, and drifted into the league's background. Sometimes the bust label is less about failure and more about a door that closed while you were on the other side of it. In a league this thin-margined, right place, right time is a skill disguised as luck. The pattern you can't ignore? 10 names, 10 different reasons the dream cracked. Chaos swallows quarterbacks. Injuries turn stars into questions. Pass rushers with superhero measurables still need hands and counters. Quarterbacks need one plan, not 5. Arm talent is just potential energy without work. Safe picks don't exist. System fit is oxygen. Hidden vision or processing limits matter. Timing can crown a veteran and strand a prospect. Underneath all of it sits the same equation. Talent times plan times habits times health times fit. Miss more than one variable, and the league exposes it fast. Why teams still miss? Because every spring the draft sells certainty. A workout number feels like truth. A championship ring feels like proof. A pro day throw looks like a cheat code. The room convinces itself, we can coach the rest. Sometimes that's true, usually it isn't. Prospects aren't clay. They're people with histories, habits, and limits. If your organization doesn't know itself, its scheme, its timeline, its ability to teach, then the pick isn't just a guess. It's an expensive one. What actually predicts survival, protection, and patience? Rookie QBs don't need a savior complex. They need a guard and a plan. One voice. Development hates committee meetings. Pick a philosophy and stick with it. Translatable tape. Prefer skills you can name on film to traits that only appear in shorts. Habits over hype. The league will forgive holes. It won't forgive ignoring the work. Health profile. You can't predict everything, but you can price risk honestly. System match. Don't draft a spread tackle to run a catalog he's never seen without time to teach it. Hidden constraints check. Vision, processing, learning style. Find surprises before Sunday does. So, were they doomed? Number. Doomed is the wrong word. Most of these players had a pathway if the variables line up. Give Harrington a real line and one coordinator for 3 years. Give Carr a middle-of-the-pack pressure rate instead of history. Give Leinart a healthy season before Warner's legend kicks in. Give Williamson early diagnosis and tailored development. Give Golston a pass rush plan baked in by year 2. There are no guarantees, but the gap between star and what happened is smaller than fans think. Why the label sticks anyway? Because the league is a results business, and the clock runs fast. If you don't hit by the end of your rookie deal, your team looks at another lottery ticket. Fans want new hope. Coaches want safer jobs. The machine moves on. The draft gave you a headline. Sundays demand receipts. The part people forget behind every bust is a person who carried the weight of a city and the echo of a promise. Some handled it with quiet pride even when it went sideways. Some battled pain they didn't ask for. Some made choices they'd take back. All of them learned the same harsh truth. The NFL is a pressure cooker that doesn't care what you did yesterday. Generational talent is a myth if it stands alone. The league doesn't reward potential. It rewards proof. Protection, patience, habits, health, fit, stack them, and the kid has a chance. Miss them, and the label shows up. Bust. If you're watching the next class, skip the pro day fireworks. Look for the boring stuff that keeps careers alive. Because next April, the words will come back. Can't miss franchise guy, once in a decade. And somewhere, a team will forget why these 10 stories happened. Don't. Remember them. Learn from them. And if you want a happier version of today's video, stick around. We'll break down the near busts who flipped the script and became stars. That one might shock you even more.